Welcome back to the Engine Performance Expo. We are live in the studio with the first of our big hidden horsepower episodes featuring the first person who was ever on the Hidden Horsepower podcast, Mr. Jason Line. He's a three-time Pro Stock World Champion, got one in Stock Eliminator, over 50 NHRA National Event wins, and how we got him here, I have no idea. So I'm not even going to ask Lake. Jason, how did we get you here?
You should ask Lake. He bribed me, actually.
It was a bribe, a monetary bribe?
I can be bought, yes. Yep.
Fortunately, building engines, he needs piston rings. So,
true. Yep. So I have to be nice to Lake.
So is it a positive or a negative? Was it like, hey, we'll give you some if you come, or was it if you don't come, you won't get them ever again?
Yeah, that was insinuated.
Okay.
Yeah. So
good job, Lake.
Yeah.
Well, you know, listen, I've learned from Hartford a little bit. He's
Carrot.
got to play tough ball.
he's got a little Hartford in him, but not that much. So,
Not that lucky.
maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe, yes.
But
Well, that also Mark Cronquist is here too, right? So we had to put all the guilt trip on him possible. You know, between myself and Mark and Matt, we had to do everything we could to get him
Well,
here.
I don't like to drive anymore, so I was hoping that Mark would give me a ride, and that was the whole purpose of it. So, but that didn't work out because turns out I have other engagements this afternoon that I have to go to, so I had to drive myself. So. Yep.
Plan B, but it worked
Plan
out.
B,
You're
yeah.
here.
No, it's
We
fine.
appreciate you being here.
I made it. Yep.
Yeah.
All by myself.
amazing,
Good job.
amazing. So I don't know if I'm talking to a drag racer and a NASCAR guy, or a couple of drag racers now. Lake, you've made this big transformation this past year, spending a lot of time at the drag strip. This guy, but I'll talk a little bit about the background. Right, he was at Gibbs. You were at Gibbs.
Right.
Talk
We
a
actually
little bit.
crossed paths though, right? He was
Yeah.
gone right before I got there, but
Yep.
we all had the same mutual friends and guys like Michael Mucha.
Yeah, I didn't leave because of him.
Okay,
so
that's
just
good.
want that
That's-
known.
thank you.
Yeah, I left right at the same time.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, there's more opportunity. I mean,
Right. Yes, we've had some opportunity here in the last.
Well,
couple
I believe that you probably did most of the dyno testing of the original Joe Gibbs oil, actually.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, it was pails and pails and pails of it. It was tedious, and I didn't necessarily like doing it, but Mark, that's what was required.
That was the
of me.
job?
That was the job. There were truckloads of it would show up, and it would be stacked against the walls, and it was very tedious for sure.
Well, talk about one of the things about the tediousness of it, the double flush, because to me that was the most tedious, painful part of proper oil testing.
It is the only really right way to test oil. So we would start with a baseline, our base stock oil.
Mm-hmm.
Then we would switch to the first test to oil, test A. And then we would flush it, and then we would do another set of that same oil, and then we would, and that would be the final test. Then we would flush it again, put our original oil back in, make a test, and flush it again, another set of original oil back in, and then now you're ready to test the next one. And it was amazing how well the numbers would come back. So it was, but it's the only right way to do. You have to double flush it both directions.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
So when you do an A-B-A test,
Yep.
it is literally like 8 oil changes.
Yep.
It's not 4, it's
Yep.
literally
and
8.
and many pulls. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of pulls. I mean, it was very time.
Because some friction modifiers took time to come in. Like you wouldn't see
yeah.
it initially. Like the more you pull it, the
Yeah.
better it gets, because it takes
Yeah.
time for the chemistry to begin to activate on the surface.
Yeah, so it was. I mean, I would literally do it for a couple of weeks at a time. That's all I would do every day. So, yeah, you got tired of flushing oil. Yeah, the green folks would have hated us, but it is what it is, and that's how you learn.
and it worked.
It absolutely worked for sure. Well, that's you can't, if you're going to do it, you got to do it right.
Yeah.
All right, so you've been retired. Like you didn't like that word.
No,
when
I don't
you
like
were,
that word.
when everyone was talking about Jason retiring, you kept saying, "Nah, I'm not retiring. I'm kind of quitting. I'm kind of like
Yeah.
characterize
I like
it."
quit. My wife didn't like quit. She didn't like that word, but I just done driving. So yeah, definitely I can't retire. I'm still pretty young, not as young as you, Joe, but I'm pretty young. So
How young are you, Jason?
I'm going to be 54 next summer.
Okay.
Yep. So pretty young.
Yes,
Yeah.
according to the new standards of young
Sure,
world, right?
that's right. Yep,
54 is the new 37.
Well, my retirement date will be my same as my death certificate. So
Well, when you do
Yeah.
something you love, like everybody
that's
in
right.
this
Yep.
room, why
Yep.
would you want to stop?
You wouldn't. Yep. So you would not. And just had probably the greatest example of that. I've been fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with Dan Jessel the last year, and he worked until the day it was time to go. Yep.
Which we started off the whole expo talking about Danny a little bit. You are in just an amazing situation. You just kind of alluded to it. We're going to talk about the Equal 8, of course, but share anything you want about Danny, because I think that's on everybody's mind right now.
Well, he was a great mind for sure, and I mean, for me, inspirational again to watch him. Like, he was so driven to complete this project and get it done. He was going to do whatever it took to do that, and you know, just super bright, super generous, good-hearted guy, and it was. I'm grateful that I got the chance to spend some time with him and get to know him.
So that was all this past year.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that was kind of a new thing. He how long ago did he start working on the Equal 8?
I'm going to say it was about 11 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, a long time. He basically spent the last 10 years of his life working on that project. That was labor of love for him, for sure. And, you know, he's, like I say, inspirational guy, to say the least. So him and Wayne both, they're just great people.
They are.
Fun to be around, and done a lot for the racing community. And you know, Dan, they both done lots for a lot of folks in the racing world, for sure.
So for those who don't know, why don't you explain what the Equal 8 is? 'Cause we're talking about like we know it all, but
well, and first of all, I find it ironic that this stock eliminator guy, who's used to being constricted by factory creations, is now the guy working on a thing that there's nothing like it in the world, and it was purpose built specifically to be perfect.
Well, maybe we're not as constricted as you think. So. But yeah, no, it was his. Basically, I'll say it was a culmination of his life's work, right? And looking at engines, and him saying, "Hey, this is be the best foundation for the perfect engine, perfect race engine." So, you know, he took what he liked about all these different engines he'd seen over the years and his experience, and created the Jesel Equal 8.
So it's a V8.
Yes, equal column valve train. Yes, it is a great foundation, and we're gonna make it a really great engine. So we're gonna bring it to Bonneville next year, and probably a little bit of comp eliminator as well.
Okay. It's run in some events already, correct?
Yes. Yep. It's been run. Yep. It's been run some. So there's several versions, of course, like anything else. You know, it kept evolving.
Okay.
So I think the final version is now done. So
right. Okay.
Yeah, that's where it's at, and super
we
cool.
talked to Larry Morgan last year at PRI.
Larry ran
it at Indy, right?
Larry ran what we called X1.
X1. Okay.
Yep. The first version. Yep. So yeah, it's a great engine, and when you look at it, I mean, there's a lot of really cool innovations, and again, it's just a culmination of all these different engines and his knowledge, all brought into one package.
Now, you said the equal column valve train. What does that mean?
Well, basically everything is straightened out.
Okay.
So it's sort of
not a big block Chevy.
It's not a big block Chevy. No. So it's a really cool engine. You'll see more of it in the future. We'll end up doing things that you'll be able to, get a real inside look at all of it.
We should come and do a video on that, by the way.
Okay, that's
more
media
right?
for Jason. More media.
Thing. You need to talk to Wayne about that. So,
okay, I will. Yeah.
Okay, but what is the ultimate goal? Right, like to prove that the concept works, or to make a whole bunch of them and sell them to people, or what is the goal?
Eventually, we'll sell them. Yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, that's kind of the plan. We're going to just make it as good as we can make it, and of course, everybody puts their own twist on things. So, again, his goal was to have just the best foundation you could have to build your race engine. So, there's certainly latitude to do different things if you want. So, that's where it's at.
The block that was on display in the Jessel booth at PRI. So, what iteration is that one? Because I studied it in detail for about 15 minutes on the end of the day Saturday, and it was impressive.
Yeah, I think that was X2. I think
X2.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It was. So, yeah, obviously you could tell.
There's very little differences between them. The first one had the rear thrust. The version 1, the final version, has a center thrust.
Center thrust. Okay.
Yeah, so.
But it's all billet. Billet block, billet heads.
Yep.
What are you doing for manifold in that? Is it going to be individual runners? Is it going to be common plenum? What are we doing?
It's going to have 2 4-barrels on it for now.
2 4-barrels, okay.
2 dominators, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Going carbureted.
I'm kind of a carburetor guy.
He's a carburetor. I was just going to say, like, carburetors are fuel injection. I think I know, at least for now.
Yeah, for now. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. could end up with a power adder on it. Who knows? So,
Do what you want to.
yeah, you can do whatever you want. But the point is to have a good foundation to build the engine to your needs, to whatever it is you want to do with it.
Because RPM on that thing's pretty much sky's the limit, right?
You can run it pretty high, yep.
Yeah.
High as you want to run it.
Which that can be perfect for Bonneville.
So, for anything.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
As high as you want to run it. Like can you give us a range?
Until it runs out of air, of course. I mean, but from a mechanical standpoint, the engine will be very durable. Yep. If you want to run to 11,000, run to 11,000.
Excellent.
So could it be a Pro Stock engine, or is that illegal?
It would not be legal.
Okay.
Yep.
Speaking of Pro Stock, do you miss it?
I missed some of the people. Yep. Missed some of that.
Don't miss driving?
No.
Really?
No, I did it long enough. Yep. Yeah, let somebody new take over.
Well, that's also true.
Yeah.
And great people have taken over.
Yeah,
Think about
that's right.
Dallas
Yeah.
Glenn, Rookie of the Year, Race
Yeah.
Wins, Kyle Koretsky, the guys who have come in to fill that role.
Let the young guys do it, yeah. You don't want to overstay your welcome.
No, that's a great piece of wisdom to a lot of people out there, because then how do you replenish the energy?
Right.
Like, you hang on there till no offense to anybody, but you hang on to the very last second.
That's right. I had my run. It was great. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was appreciate everything. Ken Black, all he was able to offer me and let me do. I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, I got no regrets whatsoever.
Yeah, but when the moment happens that the cell phone rings, and there's some sort of weird situation where you might need to be called into duty, like happened last year. I think it was Reading, right? Like
Yep.
one of the drivers, I think it was Derek Kramer, got into the COVID. And I heard you were the first call. And you said no.
Yeah, no.
Did you answer the phone?
Not at first, no. But, 'cause I didn't know what he wanted, but it was Michael Heiner. Michael's done one or two good things in his life. He introduced me to my wife. So,
there you go.
Okay.
There you go, Michael Heiner.
I'm sort of indebted to him no matter what. But I don't. When I look at the phone and I see Michael, I say, depends on the mood, right? so I said, this day I was like, not answering it, right? But then he kept texting, and he just went into the name calling, and so finally, I figured I better answer the phone. So, but no, I don't need to drive again.
Now, did you have something else you had to do that day, or you just didn't want to drive?
I had work to do.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So no, I
And Tanner Gray ended up coming back and doing that deal, which saved their bacon. It was kind of a good story for the NHRA, one way or
he
another.
didn't do a very good job either.
That's what he said.
Yeah, no, he didn't. So that would have been me. So
Do you think that would have been you? Like you would have been rusty?
I think I could have done a better job than Tanner.
Wow. There you go.
No, I don't know that. But honestly, I don't have any interest. My son would like to drive for sure someday. But for me, it was turn the page on to the next thing. So it was great, but nothing lasts forever.
What about the Buick?
Still like the Buick. Yeah, still enjoy that. Still enjoy working on it. And I only got out one time this year with it, but maybe next year, maybe a couple more times. Maybe we'll see.
Did you get that 9-second AT slip?
Actually, I ran it in B stock at Reading, and I went 985 with it up there. So yeah.
What was that? Like the Dutch or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, the Dutch Classic. I always wanted to go, and there's always a good reason not to go. And we're getting older, and of course, as people around you start passing away, you realize it's time to start fulfilling some of those things.
Yeah. Don't wait.
No, I didn't wait. I had to go to Jessel anyway, and I spent a few days with Danny and Wayne up there and the rest of the Jessel crew. So it worked out really good. So left the trailer at Kyle's there at Reading, and come back and stayed at the race, and we had a great time.
Yeah, I don't know that everybody knows and understands. They know Jason from his time at Gibbs, and they know Jason from his time at KB running Pro Stock. But this guy, former Stock Eliminator world champion, but he is a Buick guy. He is not with the mainstream. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, right. Like different stuff, right?
So what I'm hearing, I think, this underlying tone is you're really an engine guy that happened to do some driving.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I was not a race car driver. I was a dyno guy that got to drive a race car. So yeah, yep.
Well, don't you credit your big pop, your big moment to kind of going against the grain with the purchase of a dyno, right? Like everybody was doing one thing. There was the one that everybody was getting, and you're like, I'm going to go in a different direction.
Yes.
And that that is how you were able to be successful.
It's a crazy story, but like I met a guy at a gas station in Forest Lake, Minnesota. And,
this is an interesting story.
Yeah, a lot of stories.
Yeah, okay.
This
Guy
could go
at a gas station.
Any direction, folks.
So anyway, the guy, his name is John Rademacher, and he worked for Superflow at the time. He was hauling a Superflow trailer, so I went over and talked to him. He was getting gas, I was getting gas, and I said, hey, I'd like to buy a flow bench and a dyno. And he's like, okay. So anyway, I took his number, or maybe he took mine, whatever, and that was the end of it. Well, fast forward about, I guess, a year and a half later, it was Christmas Day. I'll never forget this. Christmas Day, we had done the normal Christmas thing in the morning. In the afternoon, we were out in the shop working on something. So phone rings, and it's this guy, John Rademacher. Of course, I forgot his name, right? Because I really just met him for a few minutes. And he goes, hey, I was looking through my National Drag shirt. He goes, and I'm turning the page, and there's this kid. One stock eliminator. I met that kid at a gas station in Forest Lake. He remembered me, so he got my number and called me, and we've been friends ever since. He owns a company called Product Engineering. They do fuel pumps and fuel systems, and I've had his fuel system on my Buick since the mid '90s. So, still talk to him.
Wow.
Yep. And that's the guy that got you into the dyno world.
So anyway, I guess the point of the story was
the story just died there for a second. Good job, Blake.
I forgot.
I learned a few things. I heard you, Jeff.
I'm old. So anyway, so we started talking about dynos. I said, hey, I'm going to buy a dyno. And he goes, what are you going to buy? I said, Superflow. I didn't even know anything else existed, right? So he goes, oh, no, you can't buy that. You got to buy a DTS. I was like, really? So I never heard him. So anyway, he hooked me onto the DTS thing, and I had a great relationship with those folks. And of course, Gibbs ended up buying DTS, which is how I got my start there.
So explain for people who don't know what made the DTS dyno different than what we knew from the old 901. Because later today, we're going to have a dyno session roundtable, and you and Mark are going to be part of it.
I may not be here for that.
We're keeping you here for that. Then you can go after that. We'll let you free after that. But we've got some old 901 dyno sheets from my dad's engine that you helped me understand the mystery of this summer.
Well, things evolve, right? Things change. And of course, all I knew is I was renting dyno time from a guy in the Minneapolis area, and he was a good guy, and but the things didn't make sense to me. And of course, sometimes when you're young, you want to oversimplify things, and it just didn't make sense, and the data didn't sort of correlate with what I thought I saw on the racetrack. And of course, that still happens to this day.
Yeah.
But as you get older and more info, you solve some of the mysteries, And at that time, long story short, they didn't. The Superflows at that time did not have a heat compensating strain gauge. So the hotter the strain gauge got, the more power the engine made. Of course, it would skew the numbers, and the only worse than no data is bad data.
Send you the wrong direction.
Yeah. So anyway, it was frustrating to me because it didn't make sense. So anyway. At the time, I really didn't know what was different between a DTS and a Superflow. I just knew that, hey, this guy, I looked up to him, I respected him. He was a smart guy. He was friends with Warren, and so I said, well, I'm going to take his advice, and I ended up buying one. So one of the best things I ever did, probably.
And they also had a different control on the servos, correct?
Yeah,
is that part of it too?
They did it different. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are different. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it can function well hydraulically both ways. I don't know if there's a right or wrong way specifically, but both are good dynos. But at the time, again, they both evolved a long ways since then. So, and of course, eventually Superflow ended up buying DTS out.
Right.
And solved the problem.
You solved one problem.
And solved the problem.
Might have created some more, but solved the problem.
Exactly.
Yep.
So Pro Stock, you had such a great career. You're a fixture in the sport for a long time. We just joked about carburetors versus fuel injection, and that was kind of like where I don't know if lost interest is the right way to say it, but we've got a lot of competitors out there. We got a lot of fresh blood, partly because of what you just said. But what do you think about where it is? Like, you're not involved right now. And so you're a good person to ask. I don't want you to
experience both, right?
I'm probably the wrong one to ask.
Well, no, but I think that's interesting. I know you're not going to destroy the category that you ran for a while, but it's known that you like wide open development.
Yeah, I don't particularly care for the current rules package per se, but it's not about me. It's about what's good for the class. So if it was about me, we'd have done something different probably. But I gave my 2 cents, and I told him what I thought, but doesn't matter what I think. So again, I think the appeal was for for a lot of folks was the fact that it was 500 cubic inches and have a nice day. Don't use nitrous, obviously, as some of the folks found out. But I think that was the appeal. So you had a lot of latitude to do what you wanted to do, and now that's not the same anymore. It's different. It doesn't mean it's wrong, but it's different, and it's not necessarily appealing to me personally. So.
Well, I guess probably one of the things about Equal 8 that is appealing is that you get something different where you have more latitude to do things.
We can do whatever we
want. A place like Bonneville is like, here's different cubic inch displacement groups, different power adder groups. Have a nice day. Go do the best you can.
Right.
And the time slip doesn't lie. Either you went faster or you didn't.
That's the cool thing about Bonneville. It's really the last true form of hot rodding because there's no money involved.
Right.
So people are there for the love. That's what they're for, and they're for the love and the mechanical challenge of it. Depending on what it's something different appeals to everybody. But
you've been a few times, haven't you?
Yes. Yep.
So I've been twice, just to spectate, to watch.
I've driven once.
You've driven once, okay.
Yeah. I think it was 10 or 11 years ago.
And that was Wayne's truck.
Wayne's truck. Yep.
What engine was in it when you did that?
It actually had a Pro Stock engine in it. I think it was an old Greg Stanfield engine that Jessel had redone, and it was fuel injected. It was fun. It was cool.
So what was it like driving the truck up there? I mean, Jimmy Barton is going to be here tomorrow, and
Jimmy's here. I saw him.
Is he already here? Okay, fantastic. Yeah. So he's told me some stories about it's way more driving than you think it would be.
I was Jimmy's a little wilder than I am, so I was trying to make sure I didn't wreck anything. I was trying to be very ginger with the whole project, and I just didn't want to spin it out and do something stupid and wreck it for the next guy, wreck it for Wayne. So I was very safe. I was probably a little timid in my driving. Jimmy is not so timid in any way, shape, or form. So,
not anything.
But it was really cool. Of course, it lasts a long time, right? So you're sitting there and the engine's running wide open throttle, and it's like all I'm thinking is about the mechanical stuff. I just hope it stays together, right?
Yeah.
So I just remember patting the dash when it was all finished, like, she made it, because it's a long time at wide open throttle. And
how long is it as a run?
I don't remember exactly.
It's like minutes, though, right?
Yeah, it's probably, I mean, once you get, it doesn't accelerate very fast, of course, so it takes a while. But once you get up to speed, obviously, then the back half of the run, goes by in a hurry. So, but the biggest thing is to, just trying to pay attention to see how it feels to make sure that it's not, because when it starts to spin out, it's going to happen quickly.
You don't want to do that. No, and I've seen the little short wheelbase ones doing their flat spins out there, and that looks evil.
Oh, yeah, no, you can get yourself in trouble for sure.
But how fast did you go?
I went I think the record ended up being 225. I think I went to high 230s as the exit speed. So, it's cool.
3,600 pound truck, or is it heavier than that?
I think it's more like about a 6,500 pound truck. Yeah, it's heavy. It might be a little heavier than that even, depending on Wayne knows the track. He knows all that stuff, and so he'll load it up with enough weight to
get grip.
Yeah.
Because it spins the tires, right?
Oh, of course,
It's slipping the whole time.
Yeah, it's always a certain percentage of slippage, of course. Yeah. You're on salt. So it's kind of like being in northern Minnesota and driving on an icy road in the middle of winter.
Yeah, I can't relate to that at all. I have no idea what you're talking about, being from Florida. No thanks. No, thanks. But that's what makes you a good Pro Stock racer, and that's what makes you a good Bonneville racer, is that experience of not really being connected.
Well, it probably can't hurt. Yeah, probably can't hurt, so...
So what else interests you out there? You're working on the Equal 8, you're going to Bonneville, so that's going to take a lot of your time. But when you think car stuff, motorsports, what do you watch? What do you check out? What are you interested in? What do you read about?
I haven't watched a lot. My boy likes every kind of racing there is. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's got an engine, he likes it. So he's been watching Formula One. So I've kind of paid a little bit of attention to that. But really anything I don't really watch a lot. So
you're a doer.
Yeah, I guess I'm definitely not a big watcher, but
do you listen to podcasts though?
I really don't, but maybe I should start.
The Formula One Beyond the Grid podcast. I think you could enjoy that. Okay. I really like it. I've gotten hooked on it. It's something you can do when you're working, and everything else is kind of background noise.
I need to. Charlie Westcott, he constantly is telling me, he'll send me a link to a podcast, and I need to get a little bit better at watching and listening to that stuff, because I think there's some good information out there.
There's a podcast called Hidden Horsepower. It's pretty good too. You should listen to that.
I've heard of it. Yeah, you got some seedy folks on that show.
There's some questionable characters.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I'll check it out.
Okay.
Now, don't you have a nickname for Lake?
Lack of Speed Junior. Yep.
Lack of speed.
Yeah, everyone in a NASCAR shop has a nickname.
Right.
So he wasn't even working there, and he gave me a nickname.
It just sort of hit me.
It worked, though.
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh,
Still
my God,
works,
no,
yeah.
it's great.
I wear it with honor. My nickname came from Jason Line.
I tell everybody,
Like,
I know Lack of Speed Junior.
Your name is Lake Speed, and you're all of a sudden become Lack of Speed.
Well, my dad is Lake Speed. He's fast. Obviously, I'm not because I'm not a race car driver, so the lack of speed makes sense.
There's a reason he got the name.
Exactly.
Yeah. It wasn't unfounded.
No.
So you mentioned your son Jack a couple of times. I know Jack, and he's a hardworking kid, right? Like,
Yep.
And one of those that give me hope for the future. Like, hey man, for every 10 kids, there's probably 2 like Jack who are out there ready to roll up their
Yeah.
sleeves and go to work. So what is I know what he wants to drive.
He does.
What do you want to happen with Jack? Do you want him to be a driver? You want him to be a drag racer? You want him to go to work in a shop?
I
He's
want
capable.
him to be a productive member of society. So as long as he's that, I'll be happy no matter what he does. So, but he's very much into CNC stuff. So he's drawing and making parts, and he's had some good help from.
He should have come over with you for it.
Well,
No, then Jason couldn't have
he's
left
got
right
school,
away.
But I tell his mother he can skip school because he doesn't do anything while he's there anyway. So he might as well not be there. But yeah, he's not enamored with school at all. But but he likes making parts and pieces. And he does really good. He's my son. I'm probably a little biased, but he really does a good job, and he really he's got serious interest in it. So, and again, Wayne and Danny have given him lots of opportunities making parts for the Equal Age.
Awesome.
He's writing tool paths and doing all this stuff now, and they're helping him. So he's got some really good mentors, and I hope he can make a career out of it.
That's awesome. Well, that's what the whole Engine Performance Expo is about. It's about education and teaching, and so we should probably go ahead and go to the next video and let you get out of here. Well, not get off the set for a moment, not leave the building yet, because we got to come back for the Dyno Roundtable in a little bit. But before that, we're going to have another video.
What a day, what a day, what a day. My brain is swollen. I've learned so much today. They told us, don't start cars. We are not going to listen.